Assalamu alaikum, my name is Onjali Rauf. I'm a writer and women's rights activist. This is my story, my journey, and why I think equal access to education and opportunity is important for everyone.
Onjali Rauf is the best-selling author of a number of books, including the award-winning The Boy at the Back of the Class. Based in London, her story takes in Bangladesh, as well as the northeast of England.
My family came here from Bangladesh, Sylhet, and they landed here in the 1970s. My dad became a businessman, so he worked in restaurants and he was, I think he was a waiter actually in the beginning. And my mum, he married my mum, brought her over. They lived in Newcastle for a good few years. I was born in Newcastle, and then in a couple of years after I was born, when I was about 3 or 4, we moved down to East London, where my mum started work for a homeless charity.
For the schoolgirl Onjali, failure was not an option.
The encouragement around education, I think that was the basic foundation of my life. When I was growing up, all I heard was, we're here for you. You better do good in school. You better be going to college. You better be going to university. University was, I think, the biggest goal for my parents. And in particular, my ambition to get to Oxford, that came from my mum. My mum was like, if you can get into one of the big ones, that'll make all of this worthwhile. So education was the foundation of everything, and it was drilled into us that we're here for you to be educated. So you have to make it to university.
After graduating with a degree in English literature, Onjali started on what she thought would be a career as a teacher.
I had this degree in English and I don't really know what to do. So I thought, okay, I still wanted to get to Oxford to do a master's. So I thought, while I'm waiting to go and do that, let me go and do a PGCE in teaching English. But I think I was too young and I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy the pressure, the immense pressure that teachers are under was really something that hit home. And I thought, no, I want to go back to studying. And my interests have always been around human rights and in particular women's rights, because I grew up in a world where women's rights was very much prominent in my family, and especially with my mum. So I wanted to study women's rights more in depth, and I managed to get into Oxford. Finally, it was like a childhood dream come true, especially for my mum, and I managed to study that and then came out and wanted to work in human rights fields.
Onjali settled into work, finding a niche working in human rights, setting up her own organisation, making Herstory.
So I set it up with a very simple mission, which was to set up a book club and raise money and send that money over to women's shelters. And what happened with making Herstory, we had more and more people coming forward with their stories and wanting to know where to go for help. We had more shelters coming forward saying, look, we love the money you're sending us, but can you also give us toothbrushes and bed sheets? So we kind of started growing and partnering up with other agencies who were trying to help women fleeing abuse. And from making Herstory, we began to go out into the refugee camps, specifically to help women and children, because if you read the newspapers or hear the stories about refugees, you'll see young men. You'll very rarely see women and children, but they're out there in the hundreds and thousands. And I always say to everyone, for every picture you see of a man, a refugee man who's trying to find safety, just imagine that he's got a family with him as well, but they're just not showing that side of the story.
Alongside her work and volunteering, Onjali continued to write for magazines and used her knowledge of the refugee crisis to pen her first children's book.
So my very first book, The Boy at the Back of the Class, is founded on my experiences and interactions with refugee children in the camps of Calais and Dunkirk in France. It's inspired by a baby in particular who the book is dedicated to, whose name is Rayhan, and my imagining of what might happen to him if he ever walked into a classroom in a country that he was not familiar with, and which didn't know his story. So I really wanted to get that out there. And the reactions to the book have been absolutely phenomenal. It's been beyond a dream to see go into the schools and be used as part of curriculums, and to see children picking it up and writing letters to the Queen and to the government saying, can we help? How can we help? Has been really phenomenal, and I'm so lucky it's been awarded with so many gorgeous awards, especially those voted by kids. And it's taken a whole lifetime to get here. It's taken a lifetime to write this book, but that lifetime is forged on me wanting to go out and hear people's stories and make sure that those stories are respected. So the skills that I've picked up along the way have always been founded in meeting people and not being afraid to meet those that can't even speak the same language as me, but who I want to know and who I want to help.
Onjali credits her mum and a few of her favourite cuddly characters for setting her on the path.
So all of the stories that I write today are steeped in my stories of my childhood. So this is Snowy, which reminds me of the time my mum introduced me to a whole world of literature through our local library, and he's a character that features in one of my books. This is Simba. Every single birthday, my mum would gift us a VHS Disney film, and it was the key thing that we loved looking forward to. And Lion King was mine and my brother's favourite, one of my favourite films. And Paddington Bear is one of my favourite stories from childhood, and they all made it into the stories I write today. So I have my parents to thank for introducing me to stories and worlds through the library.
Now, an established children's writer, her award-winning book, The Boy at the Back of the Class, has been followed by further successful and groundbreaking books.
So right now I'm writing a fourth book, which tackles racism, because I love to tackle the, really happy-go-lucky issues. But the kids, that I'm writing for really care about them. But all of the journeys that I've taken to writing these books are centred on my life, on the works that I'm seeing happening in the world, on people that I'm meeting and hearing and listening to. And I would say to to anyone who is out there with an ambition, whatever that goal might be, to never give up, to lead your own story, to respect your own story, and to make sure that others respect it too. So yeah, just keep going and just keep forging your own story and doing it in the way that you want to do it.